All right, so the next question goes to you, Jillian. And I think it relates directly to the poll question we just asked, which was really around the utilization of MDF program. And when I've spoken to partners and I've spoken to vendors, the feedback's often, well, either we just don't understand the MDF program, or we're not too sure how to go about requesting it. What can we request it for? Or they've tried to do it and they just feel it's too complicated and just don't bother and feel like the effort that they need to go through to actually get that funding is not worth the effort that's required. So my question to you, Jillian, would be, I'd love your thoughts on how you can ensure that it's easy for partners to engage with you so that they understand how they can utilize your MDF programs. What advice would you give our audience in terms of driving that engagement and that utilization?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question since I come from an operations focus. And obviously our ultimate goal is to support sales and prevent those roadblocks that kind of get partners disinterested in the MDF process. But obviously we just touched on the importance of focusing on like the types of activities that we're offering and getting them excited about that mutual benefit to want to engage. And I think that it's equally as important to make sure it's easy for them to follow through with that engagement. The reason for that is MDF does require touch points from the partner. I mean, we would love for them to only be able to focus on executing the activity, but there is some work that we require them to do to get the funds. And because everyone has competing priorities and some companies may even be managing MDF with multiple different companies, it's easy for them to become disengaged in the process, which can have negative consequences on both sides. So internally, if we don't have the proper data, we may not be able to maximize the use of the budget and learn from how those activities performed. And from the partner perspective, they might have like a delay in reimbursement and decide that it's not worth investing in the future. So we don't want the workflow to dim the excitement of spending that money and generating that demand. So there's a couple of things that I can think of that have helped us within this process. So first, we don't want partners to have to search for MDF. We want to bring MDF to them, whether we're promoting it via our managers or on our partner portal. We have a dedicated space for MDF information, so partners can access guidelines, user guides, links, that kind of stuff on their own. So the conversations that we're having about MDF can be spent more on the execution of the activity, and the partner kind of already understands the process. And because these conversations about MDF and partner investment are so important to the partner relationship, we train our managers to use MDF as a talking point and socialize the activities that we offer and make sure that the correct contacts have access to that kind of information. At Trellix, we even have our managers submit requests on the partner's behalf, so it takes work off of their plate after they have had those conversations. Now that does require additional resources, so that won't work for everyone, but whether the initial request is submitted by the partner or internally, the more automated the process, the easier the workflow will be for everyone involved. So the second thing I think of is like we want to provide prompt response to any partner engagement. If they're putting an effort for us, we want to be able to provide them with a quick response. And the best way to do that is by automating certain aspects of the MDF workflow. You can use, there's a lot of solutions now, like channel mechanics. So even if you're starting with one aspect at a time, for example, if you're creating a form for MDF requests and claims with drop-down boxes to help them fill out the data quickly and accurately, when they submit a request or claim, if you integrate an automatic approval flow so that they can get a response to their request or claim quickly. There's even ways to integrate your payment process so that when the claim is finally approved, you can automatically distribute that payment, because at that point, the partners have expended money on our behalf, and we want to get them that reimbursement as quickly as possible. So the more steps that are automated in the tool, the quicker the response you can have for your partners. And it's a true data source for both internal and external participants. So the last thing I can think of is having all of your information in one place is obviously important for internal use, but partners have a lot of their own internal practices around using MDF. And like I said before, some work with multiple companies. So we really want them to be able to self-service their current and historical information to provide that information back to their business as quickly as they can without having to depend on a manager's response or a response from like a mailbox inquiry. So in certain things that can be shown there, like remaining funds that you have to request, details of the already submitted activities and where they're at in the approval process. And then you can also show payout details as well, again, because that's a very important aspect to partners, understandably. These things can be achieved manually or via email, but I like to say that, you know, emails is kind of a reminder that the program exists, but the tool really provides that overall comprehension for the partners to continue to engage in the program, see the benefit, and not have to wait too long to get a response for anything in the process.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Jillian. I mean, yeah, so much there. How do you make it self-service? How do they have all the visibility that they need? I mean, I think acknowledging that they work with multiple vendors, and the easier you make it, the more mind share you get from that partner, right? Because they're going to work with whoever's easiest to work with, I think. So that's yeah, really great points there. Any comments or questions, Jessica, Julia?
Well, I would just add that I think, you know, and you covered it with the tools, but they onboarding, right? So when you have that partner, that very intro, that onboarding to understand already how you're setting the ease for what they're getting ready to. So again, that's probably early in establishing the relationship, but I would just add that the onboarding and the introduction to the ease of the tools that we have, what's available, and again, understanding from their perspective, what does good look like, and how you then, as the channel marketing, you know, director, goes back and feeds them the right information, whether you're feeding it to them or it's self-service, again, aligning to what and how they need to deliver what good looks like to their business is important. So, and you nailed it, Jillian, like you know, having the tools at your fingertips and allowing for those partners who are more self-servicing and want to go there versus, you know, those who want to be provided the reporting and the data as easy as possible, allows the time for you to do that if you have a nice split audience of partners.
I think one thing, at least I know myself and my team are guilty of, is we think it's really easy. Oh, it's super easy. If you haven't shadowed a partner, or you can actually like log in as a partner through Channel Mechanics and like go and fill out the form. I think having the honest moment with yourself about how easy is it really, I think is really important, because I think partners have many choices. They can work with lots of vendors, and if your value prop is that you are making it the easiest, I think you have to hold yourself accountable to, is it really the easiest? And I know sometimes we're guilty of like, oh, just one more question, this information would be really helpful, versus the partners actually sitting in there and putting that in. So I might encourage you, if you haven't, like have that hard look within yourself to make sure, are you delivering truly the easiest solution? I think is really, really important. And that might be the only thing that Julie and Jillian didn't say that we try to look at here at Zendesk.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, yeah, walk in your partner's shoes and really go walk in your partner's shoes. And I think that's true of the onboarding experience as well, right? I think, yeah, really great points brought up there. I think, Jillian, I'd like to pick up something that you said as well, which I think is really important, is having that visibility of how many funds have you used, how much is available, because often for partners, that's a bit of a black box, right? And they'll get to year end or quarter end, however you offer, and you know, everyone goes, oh, look, we've got loads of MDF budget that hasn't been utilized. Can we do something quickly? Which anyone in marketing knows is never a recipe for success, right? So, you know, actually being given for them to be able to track and see and understand where they stand in terms of that MDF process and what they have available to them can be really empowering and really important as well.
No, absolutely. And from a Trellix perspective, we've to maximize that use of funds, we obviously have our own internal goals for our budget and what we're trying to spend in a given time frame. And we show that to partners as well. But we've actually broken it down, our annual budget down into quarters so that we can kind of have a little bit more control of that spend. And that's our checkpoint every 3 months to make sure that we've used our allocated funds, and then, you know, we can move on to the next quarter's activities. So definitely a big pain point for some companies, and that's kind of our way that we've gone about trying to solve that.
Yeah, so if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So that budget will go somewhere else. So really, really important piece. Good. How would you motivate partners to use MDF and to market with you? And secondly, how do you ensure that they're performing the kinds of activities